RWBY Volume 6 premiere, Argus Limited. So RWBY is officially back, finally, after the last season. We got to see exactly what's going on with the team, where they're headed, what's going on, how much time has passed. Hasn't been too much time, it's only been 2 weeks for the characters. Everything's, normal. In between seasons, typically it's super calm. It's like, we did that giant thing, a little bit of story here, everything kind of calmed down, sadly. This person died, kind of defending the school. And pretty much everything was all said and done. Like, the bad guys lost, the good guys won, and it's like, cool, everything's kind of fine for now. We obviously still have, like, our main villains out there. I'm very excited to see what they do. Like, my main thing, honestly, as far as the villains go, I want to see what they do with Emerald, and who I have to assume was Neo, in the opening where the hat, like, flies past this random person. Pretty sure that's Neo. So something's happened to her hand, because in the scene where she has, like, this super cool looking sword, it looks like she's got bandages on her left hand. So whatever they're going to do with them, super excited for that. Hopefully we do see Roman make a return. They are going to Atlas, and last time we saw him, he was specifically captured by the Atlas army. So it's like, all right, well, maybe we'll get to see him probably towards the end of the season, considering how they've split off, Team RWBY, and it's like, okay, they're stuck slowly traveling in the woods while everyone has already made it to Argus. So I feel like that probably won't be for a while. Maybe, way, towards the end of the season, we'll finally get to see Roman make a return, especially with them, if that is, officially Neo, with her making a return. It's like, all right, well, what do they do with that? Is she, is she finally going to speak, or, what's to do with that? So a lot of cool stuff there, but it was a great premiere. It was definitely awesome. The action was really good. We got 2 new songs, which is great. We had the action sequence song, and then obviously, the new intro song. But both were really good. The action was really good. My favorite scene, this episode in general had like some insanely fantastic moments. Honestly, oddly enough, both of them revolve around Adam and Blake. But Adam being like the lonely king on the throne type of deal, I thought that was fantastic. And they have, clips playing. I think in the very beginning, it was from his actual character shot. I believe like the first 2 lines of dialogue or something like that, because I'm pretty sure that was Sienna that was talking like in the very beginning of it. And I could be wrong, but either way, it was kind of going through his past and his very recent failure. And so it's going through, and it's like, like, we aren't going to follow you anymore. Like, we were going through with you, and you were being kind of crazy and killing people off left and right, but we still followed you. And then the instant, they mentioned the Belladonna girl, and it's like, the instant she kind of talks to you, you ran away. You left. You did nothing to fight back. You just took off. So he was about to be abandoned, and then, Adam, being the actual psychopath that he is, he got mad and he kills everybody. So I don't know what they're going to do with him, but I'm just like, man, can't wait to see that, because he's even crazier. And before it was just like, wow, he's a bad guy, but now it's like he's the crazy bad guy. Like, he's been killing people left and right. He kills his own people. Like, the instant somebody turns against him, he's that weird guy, but he's so strong, he actually can do it on his own, which is weird. So I always love characters like that, where it's like, he's so crazy, he drives everyone away, but he's so powerful, he's actually capable of doing it and still surviving, because normal characters should just be, getting killed if they do stuff like that. But, plot armor type stuff, which I'm fine with, because I feel like we still don't have enough of Adam. Like, I'm still like, the amount of time we've seen of his character is still not nearly enough, considering I still kind of count him as like my favorite character. But I'm looking forward to what they end up doing with him. They kind of tease like he may or may not be involved with the stuff going on with Neo. The whole villain thing, it's weird how they all kind of connect, because they work together, but none of them are really partners. Like, nobody's, that's a villain thing, I guess. Like, none of the villains actually like each other. So I don't know what's going to happen there, but I'm looking forward to that. We get a little bit of a tease as far as what's going on with, I just don't know what's happening. Like, there are secrets, that Ozpin is hiding from everybody. It's like, why didn't you tell us the Grimm were actually going to be attracted to the lantern, or the actual device? I can't remember what it's called. And they're about to answer, but they do the typical thing. It's like, it doesn't matter right now, but it seems to matter. It's like, why would he hide such a super random fact? Like, that's the easiest thing in the world. It's just like, yeah, they're attracted to it, but then he has to, answer the question as to why. So maybe we'll get that answer based on the intro. There's like a lot of stuff they show in the intro this season where it's like, this seems to say a lot. So I'm sure we're going to get the answer to that, like what makes them attracted to it, what permanent, permeating evil is inside of this lantern. So I'm looking forward to that answer. But there's a lot of cool stuff going forward, I mean, based on the intro alone, there's like a million things. Obviously, the old lady has silver eyes. Like, that's just super obvious. It was like, that's the most obvious connection that they had there. It's like, just the way they zoom into her eyes and then it goes to Ruby's eyes. And it's like, okay, she's got silver eyes. Or she used to. Like, either she's covering them up or they've been taken and she has robotic eyes. So it's one of those weird things. Like, it's hard to tell if their technology is that advanced where she has full on robotic eyes. But it's like they do have robots, so it makes sense that they have that. But we've never seen it before. But you know, it's one of those things that's been a very tight knit series. Even though we have literally the world of Remnant as history of the universe, we still don't know exact bits and pieces of technology. So my theory is that she does have her actual eyes. They're just, you know, she just covers them up because there's some great massacre or something happened, which oddly enough would fit perfectly with what they did with the opening, because it seems like they're going to do a lot about the past. And you know, they show like Osmond's different lives, and the woman who was staring at the statue, I can't like, she looked super familiar, and there was something, it's one of the stories, and maybe she was like the very first maiden or something like that, and that's why she was looking at that statue. Or maybe that's just someone that knows Osmond, because I'm pretty sure that looked like a statue that was actually Osmond. He had the cane and everything. So I'm like, well, there's a lot of questions to that. Did she actually know Ozpin? Like, what was going on there? Unless that was supposed to be Glinda, maybe that would be it. And she just has like super long hair. We haven't seen her in forever, so it wouldn't surprise me if that ended up actually being her. But that would be a huge departure from her normal costume, so I assumed it wasn't. It's just a woman who happens to have blonde hair. But looking forward to a lot of stuff that they're going to be showing off. Like, they show the moon, like being full in the very beginning of the intro. So it's like they're going to show some stuff of the past, how that happened. Hopefully, admittedly, we have gone through this before where we've seen things where it's like, oh, they're teasing this, and then it doesn't happen. It's happened a couple of times, mostly, you know, the Adam stuff. But I'm hoping we get a lot of the answers that they're teasing. They have the scene with Jean. I would assume that was more, you know, Ozpin, where it's like, you know, what are the secrets that you're hiding type of deal. It's just in a different body. So we have that scene where Jean's getting mad, and it's like, all right, well, what's he mad about? Like, what's going on there? We have the stuff with Crow possibly being grabbed by arms, which looked very familiar to the arm that Cinder had after it was knocked off, after hers was blown off. So, like, the stretchy arm and stuff like that, it was like a bunch of those. So I don't know if that's supposed to be, you know, Cinder coming back. And maybe that's who that was. Now that I think about it, that's who that was. It wasn't Neo. That was her, because she uses swords. That makes sense. So that was actually Cinder. That wasn't Neo. Interesting. So that's her surviving out in the wilds. And it would also make sense that that would connect to Adam as well as Roman, because, you know, Roman was, of course, with Cinder, and then Adam was, like, kind of with them. And then he's obviously super crazy now, so he'll just kill anybody and everyone he can. So that should be interesting. Like, I realize that now. Like, at first I was always thinking it was Neo, and I'm like, man, it's a different fighting style. But now it makes perfect sense. Like, the bandage on her hand, and then the way she used the sword. It's like, oh, it's got to be Cinder. That would be interesting now if it did end up being Neo. So, you know, it's still kind of up in the air if Neo changed her fighting style. But now that I think about it, it's like, oh, that's Cinder. And so, of course, the arms coming out would probably be her fighting a way back to attacking Crow, which I think would be interesting. And then, of course, that leads to RWBY being attacked by the arms. So I don't know if that's like a tease, or it's like, you know, Crow fell to the arms, but RWBY was able to fight back. So I don't know if Crow's living through this season. Just saying, based off of that image, it's like, he didn't seem to make it. He fell and disappeared, but RWBY was able to fight back. So it's like, I don't know if Crow's making it this season. That's just my theory on that. But a lot of cool stuff. Really love this season, or love the premiere at least. So I'm definitely looking forward to where we're headed. Like I said, I love the music for this. The action was good. The other really cool scene that I loved was during the beginning of the action sequence when Blake cuts the train and she looks up and she sees Adam. That was probably my favorite scene in the whole episode, just because of the mental state of that character and what that means, and how it's a cool way to do it, because it was kind of a reference to the trailer, because obviously, you know, she cuts the train and he's gone, but of course it's not him in his old costume. It's not like she's reliving the past, like that one moment. She sees him in his new costume. He even has the hood up, which I don't think I ever realized there was a hood on his jacket. I was like, he really looks like a character from Assassin's Creed. But it was interesting, the fact that that cut, it could have easily been like the old version of Adam. Like, it could have been her looking to the past, like, this is the man that I once knew, and this makes me think of that moment that I let him go. But instead, when she cut it, it wasn't the old version of Adam, it was the current version of Adam, and it's him. It's just him now. It's not like she saw him as he used to be, where it was like, man, I used to care for him. It's just, that's just the man that is evil, and that's it. That's what she saw as the current version. So I felt like that meant a lot, and I thought that was really cool. And of course, what they're doing, once again, going back to the intro, the way they have Yang and Blake kind of coming back together after all the madness that's happened, and their connection, them kind of finding each other again is going to be connected to Adam and how Blake feels responsible, and Yang lost to him, of course. So that's going to bring them together. Another crazy thing is how they're connecting. They're pairing off the characters. So we have Bumblebee and I can't remember what it is for Ruby and Weiss, wow, for Ruby and Weiss for some reason, but they were putting them together a lot, and it was very interesting. So I feel like Weiss is gonna have a big part to play in this volume because of the way in the intro, of course they show Ruby, but they don't go in order. They show Ruby, and then I think it's Blake and Yang, and then Weiss shows up last, and she's in front, and then Weiss is also the one that is helping Ruby at the very end. And they've already teased some of that stuff. Like, they've shown it in the fights where they do their team up stuff and the conversations that they have. And it's like, Weiss saves Ruby, Ruby saves Weiss. When they have to, shoot through the tunnel, it's the two of them together. The intro is them helping each other out and stuff like that. So I don't know if they're going to be going through this journey and then they get split off again. But it should be interesting. Like, they clearly teased a lot where it's like Weiss is going to have some important stuff. Obviously the main, their main journey right now is supposed to be to go back to her home, and it's like, well, it took me a lot to get out of there, and we're just kind of shooting right back over. So it makes sense that there would be a lot to focus on for her character, which I would love, especially with her dad and all the stuff we found out about that. But it was really fun. It was really fun to watch. Very excited for next week's episode. Looking forward to just seeing whatever happens next, whatever they end up doing with the older woman. I meant to look up her name. I rewatched the episode like 3 or 4 times, and I kept forgetting. Every time the episode ended, I kept forgetting to look at the actual character's name for the older woman. But I love her design. I like the music they even had for it. It was like, it reminded me of like Samurai Champloo, where it was like 2 different genres mixed together. Not like the actual song, just that idea of that show with the music. Because it kind of sounded like a little bit of like techno hip hop sort of style, but it was also clearly like meant to emulate like older instruments and stuff. And I was like, I like that idea. It was an interesting little song. And she's like, this older lady, and she's short, and she's got like the super cool cane where it's like an ancient Mayan sort of deal. That seems to be like her whole look. And she's like an old woman. I don't know if that's like the joke, if she's like an ancient Mayan because she's old. But I thought that was cool. It was like very clear with the design that they had for her character. But really cool. We got to see a couple characters that sadly they made it pretty obvious. It's like, bye, you won't be seeing us this volume. But we got to see Sun, we got to see Neptune, we got to see Ilya, who even has a new costume. Her jacket I thought looked super cool. And I love the scene with Neptune where he's like, hey, I almost didn't see you because of the camouflage. And Blake was like, wrong tree. And so I was like, he'll figure it out. So I thought that was actually super cool. Also, they teased everybody because they knew what they were doing by showing Ilya's feet run up to Blake. So I was like, they knew what they were doing with that. I don't know why they mess with people, but it is what it is. But they knew they were messing with people on purpose. They knew what they were doing there. But awesome to see the characters, even though sadly they're kind of taken off. Obviously they make the reference. Son's like, I'm sure you haven't seen the last of me, so he'll be back next volume. Maybe we'll actually see the rest of his team, because that was another big thing that was teased that we technically got, but hardly. So I want to see the rest of his team come back and see what's going on there. Hopefully. I mean, oddly enough, we saw so little of them. I kind of don't want them to have different costumes, which they probably won't, because Sun still has his same costume, and so does Neptune. So hopefully they keep their costumes, because we barely got to see them, to begin with. But we got to see them introduced, and it's like, all right, we're gonna go do our thing, and then we'll come back to them, I guess, in the next volume, unfortunately. But we'll see them later. But for now, we need some more answers on Ozpin, what's going on with the past lives, the Silver Eye stuff. I hope we get a lot of cool stuff from Emerald, because that's like, after what happened in the last volume, I want to see how they handle her character. Because even in the intro, she's sad. Mercury's just like, whatever. He's just doing his villain thing. He didn't really care that much. He was kind of like the rest of the villains, where it's like, I just want to do bad stuff. She cared about Cinder. So I'm really looking forward to that. And if that is Cinder and not Neo, I'm excited to see kind of how that ends up playing out. But all in all, fantastic opening. Love the music, like I said, love the action, love where the story seems to be headed, and especially with them splitting up Ruby and, I'm still just gonna call it Juniper. With them splitting the teams up, I'm excited to see how the rest of the volume is actually gonna play out. Like, are they gonna have Jean, Ren, and Nora backtrack to try to rescue the rest of the team, or are they going to stay there because, who knows, something else might be going wrong, so they might have to stay there and we get a split back and forth between the teams. So I'm definitely looking forward to how that's going to end up playing out, because they weren't really on the train that long, seemingly. I mean, we don't know exactly how long the train ride was, but it didn't seem like they were on there for too long, and then they got split up, and it was like, all right, well, we crashed, the rest of the train, has taken off. So there's a bit of a distance, between the characters. And even in the trailer that they have for the season, a lot of it was, Team RWBY and Crow, Oscar, and the older lady traveling. So it's like, all right, that seems like that's going to be a decent amount of the season. Maybe, I'd say like 5 or 6 episodes will probably be them away from everybody else. And then we'll kind of just jump around again, which is kind of the normal bit for the series at this point, because so much stuff is happening. So I'm looking forward to how that's going to play out. But, of course, would love to know what you guys thought about the premiere. So please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts about it, your least favorite parts about it. What are your hopes for this volume? What are your predictions for this volume based on everything that's happened, based on what you've seen from the new intro? What do you want to see in general? Who do you want to see come back? Because there's 100 million characters that have been gone for quite some time. With them going towards Atlas, I would love to see them do something. They probably won't, but some references here or there as to, the future, what's going to be happening with Penny's character and whether or not she's going to be coming back, or, how exactly that's supposed to play out. So I'm looking forward to that. If that even ends up happening, I would love to see some reference to Penny making a return, Penny Mark II. I would love to see Glinda Good Witch, just because that would show kind of what's going on basically at the origin point of the series. So what's happening with the school, what's happening in the town, where's she at? They talked about how they're fighting back, and it's been a while since that started. So they've been reclaiming some territory. So I want to see what's going on at the epicenter, like what's going on with that giant dragon that's still there, stuff like that. So maybe we'll get some of that. But for now, I'm just excited for wherever we're headed. Like I said, definitely want to know what you guys thought about it, though. So please put your comments down in the comment section below. And, of course, thanks for watching.